into this mythology. Paul's a connoisseur. Sarah has an interest, but it's all Greek to her. From Cronus's kids' weird childhood to what's going down in Hades' hood. These fables are bizarre but good. It's myth understood.
Good day.
Good day. Hey, Sarah, did you know that it was Zen Zenith, the singer of that song's birthday very recently?
Yeah, I know.
Did you know that he turned 12 years old?
Yeah, I know.
Great. Well, thanks for listening to another episode of Myth Understood with me, Paul Bianchi, and her, Sarah Oliver. Hey. Sarah, what have you been up to recently?
Oh, are you talking about last night?
I just meant in general, but sure. What specifically were you up to last night?
I watched both seasons of Fleabag, and I laughed and I cried alone in my room.
So, and you went to bed at 5 a.m?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would do it all again. It's amazing.
What else have you been up to recently?
I think you meant what other podcasts have I been on?
Yeah, sure.
I was just recently on an episode that launched today in real time, a Monday in future time, Wednesday, when this episode drops.
Wow.
I was just on Movies Made Me, the podcast where you talk about the 5 films that shaped your warped little brain with Cheryl Jones.
Great.
And it's here on the Dragon Wagon radio station.
That's awesome. Give me a little tidbit. Like what's a piece that I get to learn about your warped existence from that episode?
Oh, dinosaurs shaped my entire childhood imagination brain.
I mean, that's not something I need to learn about you.
What's the other movie? Indiana Jones. I don't want a 5th one.
You don't want a 5th one?
I don't want a 5th one.
I don't think that was news to me either. Maybe I just know you too well. But
yeah, there's nothing left for you here.
Okay.
The well is dry.
I just recently returned from Moab, Utah, which is home to
dinosaurs.
Yeah. It's home to Arches State Park. Saw beautiful landscapes with my father. And that was just a nice little father-son trip. And while I was there, I went to a shop and I picked up a piece of petrified Allosaurus bone.
Mm-hmm.
Got it cut and polished, and I returned it to Sarah, and she has since gifted it to her cat as a hat.
I did put it on my cat's head.
Yeah.
It centers her.
I think
she
so.
is one with the dinos.
I've always felt that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so this is about us. If you want to learn more about us, you can always follow at the Sarah Oliver on Twitter and Instagram to learn more about her and her zany existence. You can also you also might have been able to catch that Instagram story of her cat with the dinosaur bone on its head.
You also could have seen me pantsless. That Instagram story was a few days ago.
Oh yeah, that was. While you were doing a self-tape, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Donald Duckin.
And yeah, if you want to follow me, I'm at the Paul Bianchi on Instagram and recently on Twitter.
He always has his pants on.
Always have my pants on. I do like wearing jeans. I wear jeans deep into the summer.
And I always yell at him, guys. I say, air it out. You need to air those puppies out. And he... I
say, no thanks. Swamp crutch for me. Oh boy. So today we're going to talk a little bit about some Roman gods. Because it's time. It's their time.
It's their time. We've done it before, but it's their time again.
It is their time again. Well, previously we talked a lot about like Vesta and Mars and Juno, Greek gods who have their Roman counterparts. I'm going to start off talking today about a Roman god who has no specific Greek counterpart.
He's a make-em-up?
He's a make-em-up.
Wow.
Have you heard
They didn't trace from the original Greek god for this one?
They didn't.
I feel like it's going to be one of my drawings then.
It is wacky. It does. Yeah. This god does not adhere to normal human body standards.
Ooh.
He have you heard of Janus before?
Janus?
Yeah.
From Friends.
Janus from Friends. That's who I'm talking about. Dated Chandler. No, this is Janus, Janus.
Nope.
I will. So as a fellow Buffy fan,
Mhm.
Janus was worshipped by Ethan Rayne in an episode.
Also,
Actually,
sort of like a god of chaos then.
yeah. It's the god that had two heads. They even depicted a sculpture
Mm-hmm.
of Janus with
In the Halloween store.
with the one head facing one way and the one head facing the other.
Well, they're not seeing eye to eye.
They can't possibly, unless they look into a mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Janus is unique in that he was a Roman god with no specific Greek counterpart. He also appeared in no other mythology. He was, first of all, the god of doorways.
Why didn't this catch on?
Of public gates. Public gates were called Janai, through which roads passed, and of private doors.
Vaginas?
What? Probably. I guess that's a gate, but and a private door.
Well, you said private door, and then you started to shimmy.
And I'm not stopping. Private doors. That like just locked doors.
Oh,
Yeah.
what was the shimmy for?
Private doors. True story about myself. When I was a little kid, I saw doors with the word private on them, and my cousin Elisa said, "That's where privates are made," and I believed her.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, where else would they come from?
Yeah. So I don't know. So yeah, by that I do mean vagina doors.
Mhm.
His insignia were thus a key, which opens and closes the door, and the stick.
Okay. Well, you had me with stick, or the key.
Well, so there's a stick
Uh,
which porters employed to drive away those who had no right to cross a threshold. So like, hey, this door is marked private. Get out of here, kid.
Just a cranky old man on his lawn.
Sort
All
of,
right.
yeah. His two faces, also known as the Janus bifrons, allowed him to observe both the exterior and interior of a house and the entrance and exit of public buildings.
This might be worse than Hebe's job. Hebe.
Well, so being the god of gates, he was naturally god of departure and return, and by extension, the god of all means of communication.
Party planning committee.
Yeah. Any rite or religious act first required the invocation of Janus, because you were opening the gate of an exalted act.
He still seems like a nosy neighbor.
He is a little bit, yeah.
Like, oh, they're coming. Oh, they invited their whole family over. Street parking's a nightmare tonight.
Yeah, he's like you like pirates in a crow's nest would like
Yeah.
invoke him. Like, oh, look over there. There's a thing.
Okay, still a horrible job.
This, of course, was with the corresponding invocation of Vesta at the end of every sacrifice, because this was, remember when we talked about her, like she always got a piece of the sacrifice.
Yeah.
So Janus at the
She bought
beginning,
shares early.
Vesta at the end, and this was known as the act of Janus Primus and Vesta Extrema.
We gotta try that out.
Yeah.
Sounds like two boring people.
Yeah, so
together.
it'd be like today if this was still in use. You like the kid kneeling and saying his prayers to God. It would just be like, "Sup, Janus. Anyway, here's my prayer to God. Bye, Vesta."
Yeah. Weird.
Yep. So he was also a solar god, so he presided over daybreak.
Huh?
Because that's sort of like the gateway of the day, is that when the sun rises.
God damn it. This is like every job, like every part-time job. We're like, yeah, I'll be a server. And they're like, cool. We also need you to like host and then do some like, light housekeeping in the back office. And I didn't sign up for that.
Well, it's in your description. You said you could serve people, so this is how you're serving.
Yeah.
He was soon considered as the promoter of all initiative, which is great for D&D players.
Oh, yeah.
And in a general
Natural
way,
20.
he was placed at the head of all human enterprises. So he was basically everyone's boss.
Okay. Slow down. Started off with like, I'm the gatekeeper. And then he has a stick. Get out of here if you can't go through this gate.
Mm-hmm.
And then his other job was to be like, if you're entering or exiting, I see you.
Yeah.
I'm watching you. I'm gonna tell your friends.
Yeah. If you're about to enter a conversation, he's involved in that.
He is.
Uh-huh.
And then he became solar powered.
He was a solar deity because the gods were sort of divided into whether they were guided by the moon or by the sun. So he was solar, so god of daybreak as opposed to god of nightfall.
So, but not a planet like Neptune or
No.
Okay.
Daybreak. However, so because he was the head of all human enterprises, the Romans ascribed him the essential role in the creation of the world. So he's also the world's creator.
What?
Mm-hmm.
You really buried the lead here.
Well, he was the god of gods. He was also known as the Janus Pater.
You're a wizard, Janus.
Yeah, the Potter. No, it's a Pater, like Germanic father, like Pater or.
Oh. Hello, Master. Hello, Pastor.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Pater.
Mm-hmm. Ovid relates that Janus was called Chaos at the time when air, fire, water, and earth were all a formless mass.
This makes sense to me because his job duties are so all over the place. I would just call it chaos.
Yeah. When the elements separated, Chaos took on the form of Janus. His two faces represented the confusion of his original state.
Yeah.
So
no wonder he's facing two directions. I'm all over the place. He needs an assistant. Oh my God, he's got too much. The head of all enterprises and the party planning committee.
I mean, when you got two faces, you can do it all. You should see his makeup tutorial videos. He was honored at the first day of every month and at the first month of the year. So January is
He's New Year's. He's also the god of New Year's Eve.
It's the gateway of the new year.
Wow.
So that's that first month, Januaris, was named after Janus.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. There are no identified ancient statues or busts of Janus. So that bust that was featured on Buffy was made by the art department. Spoiler alert. But his face did appear all over coins, and those effigies are numerous. So like most of the coins that they find in the Roman Empire before Christianity took over had that two-headed face on it. He is normally represented with the double face, but he's also represented as just an old guy with a beard sometimes.
Wait, no.
Well, it depends on how you're looking at him, because in profile, two faces, dead on, you might not notice that he's got a face in the other direction.
So are the two faces supposed to be strikingly different then? One's an old man and the other's like a little cutie.
A baby?
Yeah.
No, they sort of look the same in these.
What's the point of the duality?
I don't know.
All right.
So some legends made Janus the king of the golden age of Latium. He was because the Romans are like, I'm related to the gods, or these gods were once people. Like that's sort of the way that they'll tell stories. He was said to be a fair ruler, and he was said to have welcomed Saturn, aka Cronus, after he was driven from the sky by Jupiter, aka Zeus. So like after that happened, he was like, Hey, Saturn.
Yes.
Yeah, I heard that your son.
I'm pissed.
Yeah, I heard your son won the war. You can come stay at my bed and breakfast.
Well, I'm a planet.
You're a what?
I'm a planet.
Well, that's cool. I got all the room in the world.
I'm huge.
I got all the room in the universe.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you get booze?
Yeah. Just don't take a bath. I don't want you to leave any rings.
Smite.
When a myth about him is when Romulus was founding Rome. This goes back to, I know we've talked about the rape of the Sabine women before, but
have we?
Oh yeah, we have.
Oh.
We talked about it because even though the story is called the rape of the Sabine women, and of course likely the modern definition of rape occurred in it, the original definition of rape alluded more to just a general kidnapping than raping.
Okay.
So his when Romulus was founding Rome, he and his men discovered that there were not enough women to sustain a population.
Yes, I remember this.
And so this event was called the Rape of the Sabine Women, where he and his men kidnapped the women from the neighboring kingdom ruled by Titus Tatius. And Titus was notably furious. So when Titus's men went to get revenge for the kidnapping, Janus picked which side?
The kidnappers.
Yeah. Janus showed his favor of the Romans by causing a volcanic hot spring to erupt, resulting in the would-be attackers being burned and drowned in deathly hot water and ash mixture of rushing hot volcanic springs.
So he's pretty neutral.
Yeah. Let the mortals just be. Ah!
They'll figure it out on their own.
Yeah. Later on, the Sabines and the Romans agreed on creating a new community together, probably because the Sabines had no choice. I mean,
yeah.
In honor of this,
you guys made us see your point of view. Do not melt me, please.
In honor of this, the doors of a walled, roofless structure called the Janus was invented. This was like basically just imagine a large square structure with 4 gates on each side, and during war, the doors were kept open, and after the war was over and peace was made, or by any means necessary, soldiers would march through the gates and then they would close the doors symbolically. And this was something that was just done in ancient Rome up until the time of Julius Caesar, who famously closed all the Januses for good after declaring peace. And we all know that lasted forever.
Yeah.
He never got betrayed.
I have to look up what this is. It's hard to imagine.
Oh, it's just imagine a big square building with no roof.
Yep. Already weird.
So like a freestanding courtyard.
Uh-huh.
And then there's
Are they closed off walls?
Closed off walls, but gates.
So it's just a big bucket. They made a big bucket.
But gates on each side, like ornate. And it was generally very beautiful looking in the illustrations. I'll have to show you one.
All right. Throw it on the Insta for these clowns.
Will do. Do you mean yourself when you say these clowns?
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Okay. So yeah, that's about all there is to say about Janus. I mean, remember just generally about the Roman gods that they don't have a lot of mythology to themselves.
Yeah, but okay. Again, dealt with gates.
Mm-hmm.
Had a stick. What was next? Daylight guy.
Uh-huh.
He was in charge of it. He made it happen, or he's just like, I appreciate it.
He lorded over daybreak.
Lorded over it, like.
Yeah.
Do they have horses that usher the daylight in or anything? Or
yeah, I mean
more like magic.
That would have been the role of Apollo, or Phobos, Apollo, who took over. He was the Roman equivalent.
So he was kind of like a supervisor of that. Like,
yeah,
hey, clock in.
Better do your job.
All right.
Yeah.
And then free enterprise. So he was like a small business founder.
Mm-hmm.
Like a loan guy.
Yeah. I mean, but human enterprises didn't just mean corporations. Like it was just like whatever humans were doing. Like, are you guys building a city? I'll help you with that. Are you guys making a children's hospital?
He helped. So how did he help? Just like, I dig it. He
didn't, I mean, the Romans didn't really believe that the gods directly helped except in like their myths about Romulus and Remus. So it was more about like, well, in order to make sure that this venture goes well, let's make sure that we sacrifice to Janus because he will bless this.
All right.
Bless this mess.
He's a blesser.
Mm-hmm.
And then importantly, he created the world. No big deal.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Great. That guy's all over the place.
He is.
But he's not as big as a nightmare. I mean, he boiled some people alive. He sided with the rapist, but
yeah,
he's no Zeus.
He is no Zeus. That's for sure.
Yeah.
He's two faces of Zeus. So
I'm gonna see some fan art of this.
So I was going to talk briefly about 2 goddesses that were also popular with the Romans. The first one's name is Tellus Mater.
Tellus Mater? She's like Harry Potter's friend? Mater.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think it's like, what's the tea? Tell us, mater. She was also called Terra. And
I've heard of the goddess Terra.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and that's the thing, is that like there was Tellus Mater and then there was Terra, and they were worshipped independently by different Roman groups, but the overlap between the two sort of tells the story of like they basically fulfilled the same role, and sometimes people use their names interchangeably, so they're recognized.
So it's supposed to be two different gods.
It's all just depending on who you ask, and
Okay.
and it's there. She's recognized by historians as being the same deity.
Well, I'm asking you, bitch.
Well, I ain't no respected historian.
You are a historian, but no one respects you.
That's true. Tellus Mater was associated with Gaia. So she was an earth and fertility goddess. She is, I felt like you would like this. She's usually depicted reclining. She's
So am I.
just chilling out, not giving a fuck.
Okay, already my new favorite god.
Tellus was felt to be present during the rites of passage. Like just like any rite of passage that you go through in your life, of like, I'm having a quinceañera, so I'm going to invoke Tellus Mater in my sacrifice.
She just hung out at parties.
Yeah, she was a party
And
goddess.
she's just there for you when you were like having a life transition. That's really nice.
Yeah, she'll hold your hand or hold your hair.
Aw.
She was.
Do you think that every time a drunk girl vomits, it's a rite of passage?
No, look, she's hanging out at the parties. So she'll hold your hand during the rite of passage, but then she'll still be there.
Okay,
and hold your
okay.
hair.
She's not going home early like some people.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. That was very pointed at me. I do go home early. I Irish goodbye all the time.
Yep.
She was perhaps involved in the ceremonies that were part of the birth of a child.
Great. She's
And
a doula.
What?
A doula.
A doula?
You don't know what a doula is?
I don't know what a doula is. Teach me.
It's like a hippy dippy what's the
Vagina?
No, the lady that helps you give birth. Now I'm forgetting what she's called.
Oh, like
midwife.
A wet nurse? Or yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does that. Some say the proof of this was that newborn infants would be, as soon as they were taken out of the mother, would be put on the floor of the earth, like right immediately, and it was about it was about creating that connection with the ground, or
well, babies get that,
or
yeah.
perhaps getting that connection with Tellus Mater, because what's a greater rite of passage than being born?
Yeah, and then smeared in the dirt, left on the cold floor.
Yeah, to rot. Tellus was also invoked at weddings, and per tradition, the bride, upon entering her husband's house, would have to give a sacrifice. And this usually involved the immolation of a pig.
Oh.
So
I was waiting for it to get dark.
Yeah.
I was like, this lady's too cool.
So imagine...
I'm so nervous. I am.
I'm so excited to carry you across the altar.
God, just
welcome home, babe.
My beautiful white dress. This is a big night for me. I hope I do it right. I hope I please you. Anyway, do you have a butcher knife somewhere?
I don't, but I do have a fireplace over there. Do you also want to chuck your pig in?
No, I need to cut its throat.
You do?
I've been practicing. I want tonight to be perfect.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna cut this pig's throat, and I'm gonna go to town on your penis.
Nothing turns me on more. So yeah,
that was also my first time.
That because like that was the most common was the immolation of a pig. So like I don't know if cutting its throat was necessary.
Okay.
But I respect your improv anyway. I think you just really wanted to slit the throat of a pig.
I do. I don't eat bacon, but I do mutilate pigs. Oh God, I can't even say it.
So the next goddess I want to talk about was Diana. And Diana was was considered to be the Roman equivalent of Artemis, but she also developed independently on her own in Rome first. Her brief primitive character was as a goddess of light, mountains and woods. No hunting involved.
Oh, just goddess of hiking?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Just-
These Roman goddesses are so much better.
Yeah, just like going out on a hike, taking that perfect selfie with like the ray of sunlight coming down on you.
Hold on. You said emulation of a pig as if she emulates being a pig?
Immolation.
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 What the hell is that?
That's like burning.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
What the fuck was that word? No, just say burning a pig. Immolation.
Immolation.
I've never heard this word in my life.
Well, you need to play more video games.
What video game do you set a pig on fire and call it immolation?
Immolation gets used in like video games when someone sets things on fire sometimes.
Okay. All right. I know. Guys, this is the podcast. I'm the stupid one. All right. Diana, Queen of Hikes.
You're not stupid. So yeah, Diana was Queen of Hikes. She was rapidly Hellenized from the Greek influence to become more like Artemis. But this was the thing that I found most interesting. Among other sanctuaries of Diana, there was a temple specifically to her on the shores of Lake Nemi, whose priest was traditionally an escaped slave. In order to attain his office as head priest, he must first kill his predecessor in single combat.
Okay. So back to video games.
From then on, he too was a target for any assassin who might wish to supplant him.
So this is Highlander.
There can only be one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just thought that was pretty awesome.
Wow. And she made those rules?
Diana?
Yeah.
I think so not originally, because at first she was just goddess of hiking.
Yeah.
But
then she became goddess of Mortal Kombat.
She became goddess of Mortal Kombat when the Romans were like, what can we take from what we've learned about Artemis? Well, she's goddess of hunting. That's sort of like Mortal Kombat.
What's the greatest thing to hunt? An old man.
Old slaves.
An old slave priest.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. The greatest game.
So I was pretty thrilled with learning that.
It's really, I think I prefer Roman gods.
They're pretty weird.
Yeah.
So this next section is about gods of the Roman underworld. The Romans borrowed their idea of the underworld from and its inhabitants from early Etruscans. The infernal regions of Aita or Adi, which is like their word for Hades. Their Hades basically lived there with his consort, whose name was Persephone. That sounds really similar to Persephone.
Yeah.
They reigned there, and they had two chief internal figures, who was Charon, as opposed to Charon, the god. But then this character, who is just 100% Roman creation, Tukulka. Tukulka was a female demon with ferocious eyes. She had the ears of a donkey and the beak in place of a mouth.
What?
2 serpents twined around her head and a third around her arm.
Carl Pilkington make this character.
She had peacock feathers on her butt and an armadillo hide. No, that's Tukulka.
Wow.
Yeah.
I do like the analogy that it's like tracing.
Yeah.
Like they're literally tracing the Greek gods, but then someone gets creative and is like, no, I have a punch up note.
Yeah. Becky lived there too. Who's this? At the moment of death, a soul would be seized by 2 groups of Genii. Genii. The first souls that were seized were the malevolent souls. and they were led by Karen, who carried a mallet or a torch.
Oh, I hope it's a mallet.
The second group were the benevolent souls, and they were not led by Tucholka. I don't know what Tucholka did except for look weird. They were led by Vanth.
What?
Vanth. Like
Vanth.
Vanth.
Come with me down to the underworld.
No one can escape. She was the winged goddess of fate. And the dispute between Karen and Vanth were symbolized the struggle between good and evil. All the deceased traveled to the afterworld either in a chariot, on horseback, or on foot.
So does it say, I feel like this undoes like the idea of living a good life and you'll get to go to either heaven or hell if it's literally just you're a piece of rope in a tug of war. Whoever wins drags you down to hell.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, but that's the point of religion, is to like have these rules so then you don't murder people and then you get to go to heaven.
Yeah, no, I mean, this was the I think this is what comes from the Etruscan belief system, and what happened in when we talked about Hades originally, how like before Hades, death was just death, and it was a terrible place that everyone thought about, like, oh yeah, you would just go into the underworld and everything was terrible. And then things sort of evolved, involving the judgment of Minos, and whether you would end up as a hero in the Elysian Fields, or if your soul would wander forever, or if you would be tortured in Tartarus. This doesn't really speak to too much of a division here. It's more like, all right, you go down and you either get to follow the winged goddess, or you get to follow the man with the mallet and parade around in the depths of
so there's
the
not
underworld.
even a separation. Even if the nice demon takes you down, you're still going to hell.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Oof.
So the aside from this, the Romans had inherently, like, they had no inherently great underworld divinities. Any personality that these divinities had that I'm about to talk about,
There wasn't a Hades type person?
not really.
Oh.
They were only developed under Greek influence. So like this first person I'm talking about was greatly influenced by Hades, but like initially the Romans were like, oh yeah, these are just people that are down there.
People, okay.
The first one's name was Dispater. And trust me, you don't want to dispater.
Oh god.
His name signified that he was the richest of all gods.
Didn't get that.
Dis is a contraction of ditis, or which came from rich.
Obviously.
And if you're familiar with Dante's Inferno, there's the city of Dis is mentioned in the Inferno. So at his riches increased with every number of subjects that were brought down to the underworld. So like similarly how like the Greeks would like put a coin for the ferryman, it's like these souls represented riches that Dispater would collect.
D's great to know.
Darn tootin'. Dispater was never popular, and his altars were rare because the Romans were very suspicious and did not care to worship a personification of death. And that's a thought, or either that, or they preferred to reserve their worship for the Manes.
What?
We'll get to the Manes. Before we get there, we're going to talk
Can
about...
we get some petties at the same time?
We can get some petties at the same time. Don't worry. I got you. So next, we're going to talk about Orcus. Orcus was another representation of death. His name also applied to the underworld. So just like you'd say, like, oh, when I die, I'll go to Orcus. He was he carried off the living forces and conducted them to the infernal regions of hell. And he was sometimes confused with Pluto.
Oh.
Yeah. Pluto, which was like a general name for the ruler of the underworld.
Oh, right.
But that was, from what I've read, Pluto was more of a Greek naming of what the Romans called their underworld, rather than something.
So wait, this is a roll back and forth.
Yeah, well, because the Greeks were still around, they
Yeah.
were just subject to Roman rule, and so they'd be like, "Oh, well, this is," because they would still call them. It's not like they would say Zeus and Hera while they were under the Roman rule. It was more like, "Oh, we've given you this, but now they're our leaders, and so we know that they're worshiping Juno and Janus and all the people that they worship." It gets really convoluted.
Yeah.
This next god is a name you might recognize. His name is Februus.
Oh.
Februus was a earlier Etruscan god who corresponded to Dis Pater. And the month of February was sacred to him because it was considered the month of the dead. My birthday
Your
month.
birthday month.
This next goddess is Libitina. Libitina was an ancient Roman divinity. She became the goddess of funerals, and was identified son with Proserpina, Persephone. And when everyone died, a piece of money had to be brought to her temple, and undertakers were called Libitinuri.
Libertarians.
So there are more. There's just a lot of people in hell. Next is someone whose name was either Mania or Laura.
Huh. Well, Laura has her moments, her ups and her downs.
These two divinities were probably one and the same person, who were considered to be the mother of the Lares and the Manes.
Mm-hmm. Now, can I find out what a mani is?
Not yet.
Damn it.
Manes are last. Lara was a nymph who talked so much that Jupiter cut out her tongue.
Oh, man.
For this reason...
Jupiter being Zeus, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Bitch.
For this reason, she was called Mula or Tassila, because no one could understand her when she was trying to say that her name was Lara.
Oh, my God.
And the...
Noah. I can't... Tassina? What the fuck?
Yeah. I don't know. She was also known as Mania because...
someone cut her fucking tongue out?
Well, it's related to the idea of, when someone's experiencing mania in a manic episode, they tend to be very talkative.
Okay.
Mania took part in festivals of the Compitalia and Feralia, where she was represented as an ogress who frightened small children.
I'm starting to think she's the goddess of PMT.
PMT?
Like the severe PMS.
Oh. And there would be small figurines of her, and they were called maniacs. Maniacs were grotesque figurines which represented the dead. They were wooden dolls that were hung on the doors in honor of the Lares, which were her children, who were also called maniacs.
Larry's?
The Lares. Lare.
Look at all my Larrys.
Look at all my Lares. So
she's has the worst life I've heard of.
Well,
in the Rome's.
Better shut up.
Get that knife away.
So the next two groups were spirits, and these were spirits that existed in the ancient Roman Empire, or at least thought to exist. Maybe they actually existed. And so there were the Lemures, or also known as the larvae.
Okay.
These were the ghosts of the dead whose activities were mischievous. They returned to Earth to torment the living. They were specifically return on the 9th, 11th, and 13th of May.
Okay.
And they were instituted. These days that they would return was instituted by Romulus as a result of after he murdered his brother Remus.
Mm-hmm.
Because Remus appeared after his death to two of Romulus's friends.
Did he prank them?
He showed up to the shepherd Faustulius and Acca Larentian. And so he showed up and he was like, "Shepherd, Acca Larentia,
I like a tia. Thank you.
I've been murdered by my brother."
Why do you have that bucket of water and that whipped cream in your hand?
I'm gonna do some pranks, and I demand reparation. Help me prank my brother. Here, you take this whipped cream and you take this bucket of water.
Isn't this severe? All he did was bash your head in with a rock.
Yeah, and now it's his turn to pay. Put a funny little beard on him. So after this, Romulus then created the rite of Rimuru, which later became distorted from pronunciation to the Lemuria. And the Lemuria was a rite that the fathers of a family would have to do in order to keep the Lemuries or the larvae away from creating mischief. First, I want you to tell me what you think this ritual might be, and I am going to destroy that expectation.
Okay, so it's a bunch of dads.
It's a bunch of dads that have to protect their family by keeping away spirits.
So I feel like it's going to be something at their front door, right?
Sure.
But they're dads, so something with their children.
Okay.
Is it like diapers by the front door?
Here, I'll do it. Step 1.
Remove your children's cloth diaper.
Step 2.
Put it all over the front door. the excretion.
Step 3.
Make your baby sleep in a tub.
Step 4.
Fill that tub up with ramen.
Step 5. Say what?
Nuh-uh, you're not gonna haunt this house.
Okay, so what you did, I think, makes more sense than this. So every father of the family went through an extraordinary ritual. Remember, this was on the 9th, 11th, and 13th of May where they had to do this.
Each day?
Each night. They would arise barefooted at midnight, which is already hard. When the time to do something is midnight, you're like, wait, you mean the midnight on the 9th or the midnight on the 10th?
Oh, right.
That'd be hard. The first thing that he would do was snap his fingers to drive away the shades, and he would have to then wash his hands 3 times in between the snaps.
Okay, so someone with OCD created this.
Then he would fill his mouth with black beans. And he would walk outside and pull them out one by one and toss them behind him, saying, "Throw away these beans, and with them redeem myself and mine." And he would repeat this invocation 9 times.
Oh, I want, if I were to go back in time, I want that to be my job. I want to be the person who's like lives in a tent in the forest and tells people like, this is how you keep ghosts out of your house. And you just tell people the dumbest shit to go do and you make money.
I mean, that's still kind of a job.
It's a great... Don't you start about mainstream doctors again.
Dr. Oz. So then meanwhile, the spirits would follow behind them and pick up the beans. The father again then purified his hands and then struck a
Wife.
struck a brazen instrument, so like a bell or a gong or something that makes a percussive noise,
Okay.
and he would repeat 9 times. Or and it could have been his wife, just like a slap across the face. He repeats 9 times, "Paternal Manny's go," and then after that, he could safely look behind him and then walk back to his house.
What a fun block party. Like they're all doing this.
Yeah, they are. Hey, Ted, you wanna do those rights with me?
got the black beans in my
You got
mouth.
black beans in your mouth. Oh.
Paternal Manny's be gone. Sorry.
Ted, you're not supposed to bake them. They're supposed to be dry beans.
Is it okay I swallowed half of them? Karen's cooking.
The god?
No, not the demon. Even though, hey, my wife, kind of a demon from hell,
yeah.
dragging me down.
Yeah.
That mullet.
She sort of looks like Tukulka.
Excuse you?
She's got that beak mouth.
She is my wife.
So now you want to hear about the Mannies?
Fine, yeah.
Okay. So the Mannies were also called Di Parentes, or the Mannies. The latter term derived from an archaic adjective with matins, which means good. So they were the opposite of the previous spirits. The Mannies were the good ones. They were the object of a public and a private cult. So the private ones were just like, we just don't want you to know that we also do this.
Mm-hmm. It's a book club.
Whenever a town was founded, a round hole would first be dug. In the bottom of it, a stone, a lapis manalis, which represented the rocks of the underworld, would be embedded. Then on the 24th of August, the 5th of October, and the 8th of November, the stone would be removed to permit the Mannies to pass through. At least they're not spitting beans at them. The object of the cult rendered to them was to appease their anger, even though they're the good ones, just to make sure that they're happy.
Everyone gets a little pissed off.
Yeah,
it's normal.
Especially on the 8th of November. I don't know why. Originally, they were offered blood sacrifices, and it's also probable that the very first gladiatorial combats were instituted in their honor, because they would dig these pits and then there's let's make people fight in them.
So do Roman gods like human sacrifices, unlike Greek gods?
Some do.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Mm-hmm. Especially like Mars. Mars likes a good killing.
Damn.
Their festivals were called the Parallalia and the Feralia, were celebrated in February, the month of the dead.
February.
From the 13th to the 26th, that's when the festivals would be held, and business ceased, which wouldn't have made Janus happy, and temples were closed, which wouldn't make him happy either, because he's like, I need those doorways open.
Yeah.
Tombs were decorated with violets, roses, lilies, and myrtle, and on them was deposited food of various kinds. So that's the Mannies.
So they're sweet ghosts that do nothing?
They're sweet ghosts that do nothing unless you make them angry.
What do they do if you make them angry?
Then everything that you love and hold dear will melt away.
Is that what happens?
I don't know. It's one of those things like if you get handed a rock and you're like, hey, this rock keeps tigers away. And you'd be like, does it really work? Well, do you see any tigers? It's one of those things of well, you better keep them happy, because otherwise bad things will happen. There's no harm in not doing this festival.
You know what I was thinking while you were blabbering on? I was thinking about how humans, the further back you look, how similar we are to animals, where there are just such OCD procedurals ingrained in us.
Mm-hmm.
Animals have to sniff it out and circle, and then they lay down. That kind of.
Are you talking about me again?
Yes. Stop circling. I'm speaking to you. But I feel like OCD now, they're like, oh yeah, it's a disorder, and it's this. I think it's what's left over from how humans have always been superstitious and weird. And I think it was way more prevalent 1,000 years ago,
We're all broken.
Yes.
Well, I thought I would sum up today, well, not sum up, but finish out today's talk about these Roman gods by talking briefly about Sophia. I hate her. She lives down the hall. No, no, Sophia. She's another goddess.
She's got a lovely name.
Yeah. So
Karen. Just kidding. Karen's fine.
Sophia is not a goddess in classical Greek tradition. Her name comes from the word wisdom, or the Greek word for wisdom, Sophia. Greek goddesses associated with wisdom, of course, were Metis and Athena. But by the time of the Roman Empire, wow, it became common to depict the cardinal virtues and other abstract ideals as female allegories. So, thusly, in the library of Celsus in Ephesus, built in the 2nd century, there are 4 statues of female allegories depicting wisdom, Sophia, knowledge, episteme, intelligence, anoia, and valor, arete.
You're
really annoyed by female
I
intelligence.
already said this, but knowledge has been episteme.
Yeah. Oh.
And then I
go.
was going to do something with annoying, and I forgot what their name was.
Intelligence. You find intelligence annoying?
What was the annoying-y?
Anoia.
I don't want to annoy you.
Okay. So in this very same period, you find that Sophia assumes aspects of a goddess or angelic power in Christianity, which is it's just sort of interesting because Sophia carries a unique distinction as she is in some ways the last goddess of the Roman Empire. Because during this time, as Rome began to switch over from polytheism to Christianity, temples closed. And the ability to worship old gods was reduced and made illegal until these beliefs fell away. So while they were doing this, eliminating reverence to Sophia was met with resistance. And this is likely due to her connection to the Old Testaments that show personification of divine wisdom. And since divine wisdom shared the word Sophia, it was something that was very confusing to certain Romans because they would see, well, wait, we're supposed to stop worshiping these gods and we're supposed to worship these gods or this god, but I keep seeing references to Sophia and I'm used to Sophia already, so why can't I still worship her? So to this day, there are many who believe that aspects of Sophia live on in Christianity, particularly in Christian mysticism, Russian Orthodox mysticism, and threads of modern feminist spirituality. To this day, there's a monumental sculpture of holy wisdom depicted as the goddess Sophia in Sofia, the capital of Bulgaria. The sculpture was erected in the year 2000 to replace a statue of Lenin.
John Lennon,
yeah. So that's basically where I finish it off today. I think the reason I wanted to talk about Sophia is I find her mystery really interesting. I was first introduced to her by reading one of my mom's very artsy books called it was about the work of Judy Chicago, and she did a installation called A Dinner Party where she made a triangular shaped table and did ceramic plates representing a different woman, just an interesting woman in history who she felt like deserved a seat at the most amazing women's dinner party ever. So there was a plate for Maya Angelou, there was a plate for Emily Bronte, and there was a plate specifically for Sophia as well, because it was like, the female force, spirit of wisdom should also be here. I'm sure she's got plenty of one-liners to say. So that made me really interested about like, okay, so what is this force Sophia?
But there's no tales about her, huh? It's just the lore.
No, yeah, it's more about the development of her as a virtue, and the strange her her strange involvement in early Christianity at the same time as her rise as a goddess in Roman mythology.
What is she in Christianity?
In Christianity, she's a spirit of divine wisdom.
So it's the same job.
Yeah, in the early testaments. And this is debated too, because there's so many versions of the Bible. There's a Saint Sophia. Saint Sophia is also related to wisdom, and so there's a lot of mystery in the Russian Orthodox mysticism. People have included her in the Holy Trinity, thus making it not a Holy Trinity anymore, a Holy Tetralogy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's and that's why I think the in feminist spiritualism, or specifically, there's a strand of Dianic spiritualism that include her as a goddess to be invoked, because it's about that reclamation of how there used to be a feminine force at the very height of Christianity in their eyes, and it's reclaiming that, we need to give this goddess our reverence. So
it's a boys' club.
Fair. So yeah, that's if that's a subject that interests you, I would love to hear your research, Sarah. No, I mean anyone listening, if you're like, oh man, this reminds me of a paper I once wrote, or someone who I know who did some research on this, I'd love to hear any thoughts of it, because it's a hard topic to study, but I do find it really interesting.
Yeah, so you all have homework this week.
Yeah.
Report back, and also you have homework. Watch Fleabag, and you can report back to me.
Boop, 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 boop.
Do you not want to be plagued by ghosts and demons? Come to me in my little hut in the woods. Hey, don't listen to me, okay? I'm just a witch in the woods. How about you listen to my customers who have done my rituals with great success?
Hey, my name is Josh. I went to the Witch in the Woods because I was on my way to a temple of Diana to overthrow the priest, and she told me to walk backwards until I fell off a cliff into a water, and when I swam out the other side, I had to have sex with a sheep. After I did that, I didn't even care about being a priest anymore.
Wow, another happy customer. I am so excited about your sheep fucking. And I have had return customers. This man has been to me 17 times. Take it, Marco.
I used to be a terrible fisherman, but I went to the Witch in the Woods. The witch or the wish?
I give wishes in the woods. I'm a witch wish.
Right. Okay, yeah. And so she told me, eat a watermelon and then spit out every seed, and then take all those seeds and fill up a jar, and then take that jar and bash it over my wife's head, and then eat the glass. And I've been pooping blood.
100% success rate. I make you throw beans at your children. I make you stab your lovers in the face. In a happy life, happy dead wife.
Right.
So come to me, witch in the woods. I give you great deal. I make you throw your pigs in fire. Bye-bye.
Well done. I like that you never gave her a name. She's just a witch in the woods.
Witch in the woods.
Well, what did you learn today?
Well, I learned that Roman gods are kind of better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it because we know less about them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The more specific, the more horrifying.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm. And they at least respect the brain parts of the ladies.
Do they?
What that one bitch is all knowledge.
Okay. Yeah, I mean she's an allegory of knowledge, but yeah, we'll take it.
But they could have given that allegory a big swinging dick, and they didn't.
That's true.
And they didn't. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of Myth Understood.
Yeah, and if you would like to follow us on social media, you can find us at @mythunderstood on Instagram and Twitter. You can also find me individually at the Paul Bianchi on Twitter
and
and
Twitter. Damn it.
On Instagram and Twitter.
You're hype girl.
And you can also find Sarah on Instagram and Twitter at the Sarah Oliver.
Oliver.
Be sure to also check out at It's Dragon Wagon. That is the Instagram and Twitter handle for
Dragon Wagon Radio.
For Dragon Wagon Radio. That is our big daddy network.
It's the mothership.
The daddy mothership that lords over us and looks upon us with both of its heads. You can also check out the shop. This is a great way to look at all of the shirts and mugs that fill your heart with glee.
It's even better if you buy them.
Yeah, well, you can just look at them though.
Can't just look at them.
They're pretty cool to look at.
Yeah.
They are better to wear and use.
I wear my mug every day.
I see it on your head. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. The more ratings that we get, the more people find us.
Yeah, it's super important, guys. Do it right now. It's part of your homework. You have 3 homework assignments this week.
Yeah, well, and additionally, if you want to listen to Sarah's episode of Movies Made Me, you can listen to that, and then you can rate and review that. I'm just giving you, just go out there and put stars on
or
things.
just DM me, rate and review me personally.
Yeah.
Let me know where I'm failing.
Yeah, make it just like that Black Mirror episode.
Oh God, that one's tough.
That one's tough, yeah. So yeah, and finally, feel free to show your support at dragonwagonradio.com/support and help this budding network continue to bud and blossom.
This budding buddy network.
Yeah. All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
If you are enjoying this podcast and other podcasts on the Dragon Wagon Radio Network, be sure to check out the Dragon Wagon Shop. Awesome t-shirts and mugs from your favorite shows so you can tout your podcast pride, all while supporting your favorite indie podcast network. And make sure to check it often for new items and limited time designs. So shop now at dragonwagonshop.com and get your dragon swag on.
It's Dragon Wagon.
My name is Stephanie, and I went to the Witch in the Woods because I had a crush on this guy in my pottery class. And I asked the witch, like, what should I do? And she said if I were to shove a... Hold on, I can't. I was going to get so gross.
Go on.
About to sodomize myself.
I know. I saw your hand gesture.